Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and an unboxing of a tool that I think is going to be very helpful here in my store, but I want to make you aware of it because as a home mechanic, it might be useful to you as well, or if you're a shop mechanic as well. So with everything that I review on this channel, good way to support the channel is to purchase it through me, and I always leave my contact information in the description. What we're going to talk about today is the Birzman rotor wear indicator. So let me make sure I'm putting this in the correct orientation. And so what it has is just these notches here for Shimano, the most common rotors anyway. So Shimano, SRAM, Hayes, Magura, TRP, Tektro. And it has the standard or the minimum thicknesses for each of those. And I'm sorry if that's not centered in the screen. My apologies. So hopefully that's focusing in. So I like tools that make it very simple for me to show a customer, hey, by the way, this is worn. For my own purposes, I want to check something. Is it worn? Is it serviceable? Should I replace it before I before I deliver the bike back to the customer? So, chain checkers like this, chain checker like this, right? It's just very simple. Customer standing in front of you, you're in the intake process of your service. You're like, okay, well, let's take a look at your chain. Let's look at your cassette. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. Boom, you pop this on there. Explain to them how to use the tool and what it's going to illustrate, right? So you drop this into the chain, shows if it's worn, if it's not worn. So I like this because in the past I've been using this to measure the rotors. And while this is very precise, by the way, you can kind of mess with the numbers a little bit based on how hard you're squeezing the rotor with the micrometer. And sometimes, especially with the wheel installed, it's really hard if you're a shop mechanic, you know what I'm talking about. You're trying to get this thing and you're trying to get the screen to be legible to the customer. So I'm hopeful that this thing works. By the way, in one of the caution notes it says don't use it as a disc truing tool, rotor truing tool, which is what this is. So don't use it as one of these because you might be very tempted, right? Because you can slot this in there and kind of twist it, bend the rotor back. So let me just make sure I don't miss any of the finer points, as they say. Oh yeah. So one thing that I want to show you is that on most rotors, you should have a notch like that. And you can see them here. So in those notches is where you're going to install this tool, which it is implied, but let's be explicit about it. This is not going to be compatible with a full rounded rotor. So if it does not have those grooves, they call it grooves. I call it a notch. Potato. So what you do is you drop this in. Now this is the Shimano, and you just insert it into that groove and you see if it goes in, right? And if it doesn't go in, then your rotor's serviceable. It's got plenty of material still left. If it were to be worn out, then it would just drop in. I'm just trying to get to a spot where the spokes aren't in the way. Okay, so there. And they have this so that you can read it from both sides, which is kind of nice because you may be underneath the bike, you may be all different places, just trying to find a spot where the spokes are not in the way, where the rest of the, let's say it's the rear triangle's not in the way. I mean, you know, it's hard to do it with the wheel installed perfectly where you want, right? So that's nice. And I think that's about it, but let me just check this just to make sure I've covered everything. Yeah, so it basically just says make sure you have looked at, because these are the most common, so you'll have to find other rotors that are not on here, but that's what you've been doing all along. Yeah, so that's where it says not compatible with fully rounded rotors, and to not use it as as a rotor truing tool. Okay, so that's all for today. I think this tool is going to be really helpful for me. Put it up on my board, my ever expanding tools. I've got a whole bunch on the other side over here that are too big for a pegboard. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know, what do you folks think about this tool? I mean, it's just something, when I was in the Marine Corps, and
it's 7 o'clock.
It's 7 o'clock, as a jet mechanic. See, I have to shoot these videos when the store's closed. We had what we call go, no-go gauges. So it was just something super quick. You can put it on a component, a wearable component, put it on there, and it was either a go or a no-go. And that's what the gauge was called, go, no-go gauge. And you need to be able to do this quickly on the flight line. If you're, used to call us, God, what would they call us? Flight line troubleshooters. God, I can't remember. Flight deck troubleshooter. I don't know. I was on the flight deck too, on aircraft carriers. God. Anyway, I was one of those troubleshooter guys with the checkered, with the white life. God, what were those jackets called? I'm going back 25, 30 years. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But anyway, those vests that you wear, and they're also your inflatable vests. But checkerboard in the back, and we were the troubleshooters, and we had all these little tools, and there was things that you check, go, no go, yes, it's good, plane could fly, right? So everything had to be done super, super fast. You couldn't run around with one of these guys and try to measure something and see if it was within the tolerance. Okay, anyway, enough about the war stories. If you want to see more tools that I use in the shop, if there's some tools you'd like me to explain the usage of, or even just, I know someone had once asked me some must-haves for home mechanics, tools that home mechanics must have. I think I might do something like that, because I see so many of these kits. Park Tool does them, Pedro's does them, several other accessory people make these kits, and I'm like, there's, you know, yeah, so it's 64-piece tools, but a lot of them you're never going to use. So I mean, even I look at them, I'm like, there's nothing in there that, I mean, there's probably like 10 maybe or less tools that I would use out of that whole kit. So I've never actually purchased one for myself. I just take them off my pegboard and I go do a repair at someone's home if I have to. I don't have a tool roll up or anything like that. Okay, anyway, that is all for today. Please like and subscribe. We still, we don't have the number of subscribers that we should. There are so many people watching these videos that are not subscribed. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. We will see you up the road.